and heartening description of a living church. I would say that it demonstrates how unique the situation is in Ukraine by the various initiatives that have taken place in Ukraine with no previous experience. But the Ukrainian Catholic Church does have the advantage of colleagues throughout the entire world with certain types of experience that Ukrainians do not have. So they can share their experience and apply it to the Ukrainian situation. You mentioned children of migrants and catechists and the catechetical programs and so on. I know that the Polish Catholic Church is well experienced in that because Poles have migrated since the beginning of the 19th century. They've had a long-term experience with that, and I think that the Ukrainian Catholic Church likewise could learn from that experience. And my question would be, one of the questions I would have would be to see how much cooperation there is between the Polish Roman Catholic Church and the Ukrainian Catholic Church presently. But I'll leave that to later. Again, this presentation really impresses us with the fact that we belong to a global church with multiple outlets and multiple avenues of cooperation. It really does, your presentation really does present a living organism, and it's very evident in the types of examples that you gave. So I really appreciate your giving us this presentation tonight. And I would ask the people in the audience to identify yourselves first before you state your question, and please speak up. I think we'll pass the microphone to the participants. Well, you have it.
If I may. Igor Gavdyak, Ukrainian American Coordinating Council. Now, you've described wonderful programs that the Ukrainian Catholic Church, Greek Catholic Church's involvement in Ukraine in building a new society. But it seems to me providing material help to the needy is also a very important element in any kind of a developing society. And we know that other religions and denominations, the Mormons, Baptists, the Jews, are very effective in carrying out their ministry by providing extensive material help to the needy. And my question is, does the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, is it involved also in this kind of activity throughout not only Western Ukraine, but throughout Ukraine as a whole?
Yeah, there are actually many programs that are running for people in need. Most of the monasteries that exist, almost all of them, have some kind of humanitarian help. People in need come to them regularly. They'll have either clothes or food, and they give these away readily. Also, there are Caritas has a series of programs. For example, Caritas runs programs for street children in various cities in Donetsk, in Kyiv. There's a program in Lviv where they take in street children. There's a shelter, and they work with them. I'm thinking of... There's also, I know that there is one particular monastery. It's the Sisters of Miles Jesu, who are in our right. They are with our church, and they have a what's it called? A soup kitchen. Yeah, a soup kitchen. There's also, very interesting. There's programs for the homeless in Lviv, I know. As well, there's a place called, I think it's called Doroha. They have facilities outside of Lviv where they take people who are ready to live in community. So they can't take everybody. They have to go through a special screening process. That's not church operated, but people from the church started it. So I don't know if that answers some of your question.
Yeah. If I may, since I'm closest to him, Natalie Gaudiak. One of the things that makes me the least happy about being an American vis-a-vis other countries is that other countries sometimes take the worst of American culture. And it's embarrassing to go to Ukraine and see terrible American films on television. I don't know if, what you presented to us sounds fabulous. It's just wonderful, and it's very heartening. so it's unfair to ask any more in a way, but I wonder, is there any way that the church is planning to use television to try to combat something like horrible videos and things that undermine religious education?
It's actually interesting that you would ask that question, because developing media projects is one of the things that the church is trying to work on. For example, this isn't, it's an audio tape, not a visual tape. There were two journalists, Greek Catholic journalists in Kyiv, who were thinking they wanted to do something good for the building of the Sobor, the building of the cathedral in Kyiv. And they all have great respect for His Beatitude Lubomir Huzar. And what they decided to do was they did an interview with him, where they're asking him different questions about the basic building blocks of society. It's not a religious interview. It's an interview more about philosophical questions in life. And so that's something that's been produced, and it's very popular in Ukraine. So that's one example. Also, there's actually, what's interesting is that there are several people who are working on historical materials, but we don't have the funds at this point to help them put together. There are a couple of CDs that have been put together in Ukrainian, but that's probably as far as we've gotten. I think that this is an important issue, and I think actually developing better materials, actually also for television networks, would be an important step in the right direction. So.